What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another live with RJM Fish Tales. Tonight we have JT HICKMAN on, fishing with Gramps. If you don't know who he is, most of you probably already do, but if you don't, he's just another one of us in the kayak industry community that's trying to help everybody get on the water and help in any way we can, no matter how it is. We come up with all sorts of things. We run across different people, and we just go with the flow and just try as much help as much as we possibly can. So I wanted to have him on and talk about him a little bit. If you don't know much about JT, what he's up to, what he does, what his channel's about, and all his social media stuff and what he's all about. So welcome to the channel tonight and welcome to the show, JT. Nice to have you on.
Hey, brother, appreciate it, man. It's always good hollering at you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, why don't you introduce yourself? A little Cliff Note version of who you are. If
Sure.
people, from my channel don't know who you are, just kind of give a little Cliff Note version and what you do and so forth and so on.
Sounds good. My name is JT HICKMAN. I run the Fishing with Gramps YouTube channel. That name was born out of a tribute to my grandfather. And I have been kayak fishing for more than 10 years, me, my brother, and my sons when they were younger. But I never really did the whole like fishing YouTube thing until like many years later. I mean, back on my channel, you'll see some like early Walmart kayak, throw them in the lake, no PFDs, didn't know better. We were just fishing. But it wasn't really until COVID hit when the Navy base that I worked on, they basically kicked us off. And they didn't want anybody coming on base, going mess with gate guards and all that. They basically just had us all working from home and all that. But I had sold my boat and bought kayaks because our favorite place to fish on earth was a little pond on this Navy base that's loaded with like 4 and 5 pounders for days. So my sons are actually spoiled thinking that, at bass, everywhere you go in the country, you just make a cast and pull out a 5 pounder all the time. Well, we all learned later, but long story short, I got off of base and it was like, well, it's fishing season. I need to go fish somewhere. So we rolled up to a local lake and I was starting to put my kayak in the water, and these three guys come in and they're in like fully rigged out tournament kayaks, and I'd never seen anything like this before. And I'm like, man, you guys got some pretty fancy stuff. You do any good? And they're like, oh, we're just finishing up a tournament. And I was like, uh-oh, tournaments? There's kayak tournaments? And I had gotten away from boat tournaments many moons ago, to raise my kids and all that. But yeah, that kind of sucked me in after that. It wasn't too much longer. My brother was in the VA domiciliary when I actually heard about Heroes on the Water, because Heroes on the Water come and took those guys out in fishing. And that's where we actually learned about all of the veteran recreational therapy. Of course, if you don't know, my my father's a veteran, my brother, my wife, three of my sons, and myself all served in the army at one point in time in our lives. Um, and so we learned about Heroes on the Water and what they were doing for our veterans. So that's kind of how we got involved with it. And then, I fished like a Heroes on the Water, tournament. It was an online thing. And that's where I first learned about catch, photo, release. And since I didn't know anything about it, I immediately get on the interwebs, and Chad Hoover's channel is the first thing I find on anything kayak bass fishing. And long story short, we started getting involved with our local tournaments, and then learned a little more, did the KBF thing, the monthly challenges, qualified for a national championship, went down there and met all of our heroes. And then over the last few years, we just done more and more, and, met you through KBF, and Chad and Gene and everybody else that we know now. And kind of fallen all the way into it instead of being like a recreational angler anymore. I go fish a lot of the tournaments mostly to support the organizations. Not like I'm ever going to win one of these things, but to meet, all of our, we all have the fans that we are, the Christine Fishers, the Guillermos. You learn about guys like Russ Snyder's and Drew Gregory, and champion after champion after champion. And as you start showing up at enough of these things, you get to meet and know and become friends with like everybody who's in there. But yeah, that's kind of the how we got into kayak fishing kind of thing, just because the place that we started out fishing was too skinny to put a boat in. and then COVID put us out in the rest of the world, and we've kind of gone crazy ever since. And kind of when I started, actually fishing, all that stuff is when I started doing like fishing content to kind
Hmm.
of teach people how the basics of bass fishing or crappie fishing, things like that. And then it's kind of grown from that to veteran advocacy and tournament stuff, and mostly the friends and fellowship and the people that we meet. But that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, that sums up pretty good. I mean, most, like I said, most of us know you, but I mean, if they don't know you, that was a really good summary of it and how the kayak fishing has, the community in general, how we all grow together. And like you said, we see each other and it just kind of like, I think we feed off each other too as well when it comes to this stuff because, somebody may see somebody do something like, oh, that's a good idea. And, I think it helps us all, grow as a community and helps, us to do content. We always try to figure ways to help people, whether it's a review video, everything pretty much I've purchased, so I like to do reviews on them
Yeah.
and share them and tell people, pretty much I do enough research and I've been through enough things now. I know what I like. And, unfortunately, for many people being on the budget, a lot of things I do buy is expensive, but I know it
Yeah.
works, and it just, that's what I review and I just try to help people that way. And then the fishing content comes along, which has been kind of dry lately, but it's going to start coming back here, which is good. As far as YouTube, what do you have planned this year? Like any special video or trip you plan on doing that you want to share with anybody?
Pretty much like the videos and whatnot. I've got a playlist of things that I plan to make. And when I
Hmm.
get time to make them, I make them. I try to. It's funny because if I review something or I talk about something kayak related, I kind of started in my journey like on the budget side of it. But
Hmm.
as my buddies tell me, Gramps has got fold money. And I've kind of been through like all the budget stuff, and now I'm kind of finding and fishing the things that I like to fish with. I'm 3 years away from retirement if I don't get doged, So I'm already working on, I've got a pretty good collection of higher end rods that I really like to fish with. I've pretty much settled on my reels that I like, but I still do reviews on like new reels that come out. I'm kind of a Shimano homer anyway. And so I cover those kind of things so that people, if they're looking to kind of like step their game up to the next levels, that's kind of where I'm at. Even with kayaks, I've done through that. We all started out in our little paddle, cheapos that we felt, we got started in at Dunham's or Walmart. And I think my first actual fishing kayak was like a Future Beach Angler 114 that was just, pre anything else. And then I discovered Old Town, and one of my favorite brands by far because I was kind of getting a little older, a little bigger in the waist with my knees and whatnot, and I needed something that I could trust my life in, even being a heavier set guy because I'm on my butt all day, being an IT guy. But Old Town is like one of the brands that no matter what, I will always recommend. And this last couple years, I've been playing with some of the bona fides. So I've got my PWR, and then I'm in the middle of rigging up the new XTR because
Hmm.
if we're gonna go nuts, we may as well go nuts on the biggest, craziest piece of gear. But I'll probably fish that for the year, and then knowing me, I'll probably sell it off and give somebody a good deal, and then go focus on maybe like a good river kayak, like an RVR, or get a Crescent or something I can put. I miss kind of being in the creeks and whatnot because around Indiana, that's kind of where we started. We're all guys down here in southern Indiana. We're all pretty much river rats, so we like getting up. The only place I can find smallies near me are up in a lot of little creeks that I can't really pull those bigger fishing kayaks in. So I know that even though I'm playing like super scoping boat this year, next year I plan on really downsizing it and keeping the PWR for the lake stuff, but then get like an RVR or Crescent or something smaller to get back in like kind of those skinnier waters. I'm working on trying to get my health right and be a little more mobile to be able to do that. But this year, what I've got on the books, um, going to be at the Bassmaster Classic. My partner, Fish Texas Kayak Trailers, Nick. I've got a double on order, so I knew I was going to be hauling a PWR and an XTR. So Lefty's been good to me, but I need something that's side by side to hold, to carry around two big giant, carry two big giant kayaks like that. So if I take somebody else that I've got a spare to do that, but I'm a fan of the Classic. I'm a fan of MLF. So I try to go to one or the other each year just as a bass fishing fan. So last year I went to Red Crest. Next year I'll go to or this year I'm going to the Classic, and next year I'll probably go to the Classic again too because it's going to be in Knoxville, so a whole lot closer. But yeah, we'll be down in Dallas, Fort Worth area, visit my daughter. I'm going to actually go meet Nick, and we're going to go hit OH Ivy for a couple of days. And then, I'll follow some of the guys around on Fork while they're doing the Kayak Bassmaster Series Championship. Try to get some drone footage, some video footage of, Gene and a few other guys I know that are there. And then Sunday, going to go hit the Kayak Adventure Series there in Texas, and try that new flooded lake, the Bodark Lake, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
That's their first big event. Now, I work for the federal government. I'm one of these guys, so I've only got so much leave per year. So I got to kind of use it sparingly. But I'm lucky enough. I've got a Bassmaster event at Del Hollow that's only 4 hours away, so I don't have to burn up vacation for that. Got a Kayak Adventure Series in Springfield, Ohio that's only 3 hours away, so I don't have to burn up any vacation for that. The next one I'll be burning up a bunch of leave on will be the Kayak Adventure Series up in St. Cloud, Minnesota,
Okay.
which is like 10-hour drive north. But good thing is for that one, my wife is from Minnesota and up in that area, so we're going to be up there for like a week, and she's going to have friends and family come see us. Super stoked for that one because I really want to go get into see if I can catch a 20-inch or better, smallmouth. That's kind of my goal this year. But and then I think after that is probably the KBFNC in the fall. So, and then I've got a bunch of local club stuff here that I'm trying to be more involved in and kind of promote the local community as well. But yeah, this year's going to be crazy, but we'll see how it all goes.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much answered most of my questions, what you just talked about now, but we'll recap on some of those anyway.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say is I do want to do a little plug for Billy Rigler, who's Kayak or Die. You made me think of it because he started with Billy invented the steady stick, and when you said Old Town, the steady stick is really made for the Old Town on top of the pedal drive, so it goes in that little track. I'm not sure exactly how it is because I call it an old man stick, but Billy likes to stand and fish a lot. That's why he invented that. But he also came out with the the brand Kayak or Die, and I saw it a few months ago, kind of overlooked it, and I didn't really realize it was him. And then when I saw him down at Kayak Adventure Series, I'm like, oh crap! I was like, that's you. I was like, oh yeah, I saw that a while ago. So I started following him, and I bought a bunch of stuff. I think I bought like $300 worth of his gear, but just because I like Kayak or Die, I think that the whole symbol and the saying behind it is like
100%.
my life, and it's like most of our lives. So if you guys want to go support Billy and the brand, and I've gotten so many comments on this one hat alone, go check out his website. I think it's we could probably look it up here, but I think it's Kayak or Die merch.com. But if you just put Kayak or Die in or go to Instagram, you'll find his website.
You'll see it everywhere on Instagram because it's so. I mean, I saw that it immediately. It's like seeing the American flag. It just hits you if it's going to hit you. It's one of those instant brand recognition. And I'm like, I don't care what this guy is about. I know what he's about just by this, and I'm definitely going to support him.
Yeah, so if you guys want to go check out his stuff, I got two hoodies, I got the windbreaker, I got 3 hats, a t-shirt, I got a t-shirt for my son, and I think that's it. But that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot already. But he just started laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing, Bill? He's like, this is great. Because I'm just sitting there. I'm not even adding up how much it costs, and he just sent me a bill. Don't care. I was like, I just want to support you, Billy.
That was me at the Achigan booth over in Columbus at the boat show because I had been waiting to everything was always out of stock. I couldn't get the Quest for 23 hat or the Smalley brand stuff, and I was like, swoop, 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 $300 later.
Yep.
Know exactly what you mean. So I'm gonna do that again with those because I love that.
It is, and the sweatshirts are really comfortable, and they're like really soft and nice too, which I like. Fish Wizard, I want to answer your question. Yes, you can run a dual kayak trailer and have one kayak on it all the time, and it won't affect anything, no matter who makes it.
Yep.
It's not a problem doing that whatsoever. So if I like the duals. I actually like triples or quads, but yes, you can run a single kayak on a dual all the time. And Tyler, I don't know. We'll have to think about that one going to Minnesota there.
It'd be a long drive.
Yeah. But let's go back to what you were saying before. So you're going to run the XTR most of this year. And one of my other questions for you is that are you throwing forward facing on that too as well? You're going to try to learn that this year?
Calling it my scoping boat.
Okay.
So I've got 2 Garmin Ultra 2s, the 10 inches. And so I've got one on the PWI. I used to run them both side by side, and I had the live scope on that. But what I did was I ordered a second transducer, the GT underwater that's down inside, and then I added a third mounting bracket. So what I'm going to do this year, I'm going to the PWR is going to be like a dedicated river boat, if you will. Or if there's a situation where I'm going to be like early spring and I'm not going to be really scoping that much, if I'm really beating the banks like pre-spawn, then the PWR with the NK 300 on the back, that's going to have a single graph and that down inside imaging on it and my maps. And then on the XTR, I'm actually going to use some straight up mounts as who makes them. And they make boat mounts for like the pro boaters, and it kind of stacks your graphs like this. So I'll have them centered on the XTR, and one's going to be lower than the other, and that'll be my maps and whatnot. And then kind of like more in my eyesight will be the forward facing, but I'm just going to have those centered. I'm not going to be that guy who's walking up on that front deck doing all that. For me, all that's just storage. So I'll put like my control boxes, black box, yak power, all that's going up front. I'll put my 2 batteries in my black pack in the back, and then all my tackle is going to go in that little storage shelf under the graphs. So
Okay.
that way I can take 2 graphs and move them back and forth. If I'm taking somebody else out with me, I can detach the live scope pole and just leave it in the truck. And then each kayak will have 1 yak on it. But then I'll have the XI3 on the XTR with a 135 amp battery. Be a little slower than what I get, what I've been getting used to running with the NK300 all year. But that lets me, if I take somebody who's like, more limited mobility than me, I could put them in the XTR. I know 100% they're safe. If they're not used to running the XI3 remote, I can run that for them so they can just fish.
Okay.
But and that way it'll be a good second boat. But that's gonna be my lake boat, scoping boat, slow mobile, I'll call it. And then if I've got to be in a river or someplace where if I'm one of our like local derbs where you got to kind of shotgun a race to your spots, then I may choose to go faster than spot lock too. So that's kind of the goal this year, is to be able to run both boats however I want.
Okay. And then your Fish Texas kayak trailer, anything, can you share what you're doing with that? Like, are you just doing just a dual? Or are you going to add 16 boxes, 14 lights? What are you doing?
He's really, I told him, just do what you do.
Oh, so you kind
So
of letting him doing it, but I'm sure you gave him some input.
yeah, I mean, I wanted a side by side. I wanted the top rack to be able to put a rod coffin or a third kayak up there, in case one of my boys comes along. And the backup lights and all that, and a box. And when I put a box on a kayak, trailer, I don't like the ones that open towards the truck. I like it open towards the back of the kayak, or it
Hmm.
opens into the kayak, because to me, it's a lot easier to load and unload and throw all this stuff. But now that they actually make boxes big enough to actually put the XI3 in and things like that, I'm really going to be spoiled, because that's I've been able to do that with the NK300, but for the most part, the XI3 has been just a hair long for that, so that's always had to ride in the truck. But being able to have a nice box on it where I can lock everything away, I want to look at what he's got for like those rod coffin things, like he put on Ike's trailer, to see how much I like him, to see if they keeps from bouncing around and all that. But it seems like no matter what solution I've tried, the Yakima boxes or tubes, or I still end up rubbing reels together and stuff like that, and that just drives me nuts.
Really, the ECMA box is the only box that keeps it supported enough with the bungees and keeps them still. That's the only
See,
boxes I
I
like.
take, because I'm carrying like 12 or 20 rods
Well, get 2
loaded.
boxes. Get 2 of
Yeah.
them and separate
Oh,
them up.
yeah, I guess I never. Yeah. I hate those little bitty foam things, because it's like I always had to kind of cut them out a little bit so I could fit them in there where I want. I was like, this is just taking forever. Just throw them in the front of the truck.
No, okay. So, you are on the KBF advisory board now this year, correct?
Yes. Yep. I'm director of
So,
fish ops.
are you keeping Chad in check, or is he
I'm
still
working on it. I'm still,
okay?
me, I'm in touch with him like every day. And he's got, a few of us that it's kind of like that. But Marty Hughes is actually the director of the advisory board. And, there's no better person in kayak fishing to keep Chad in check than Marty Hughes. And then, also having Jeff Little for like, safety and education, and Hank for doing all of his, blogging and writing of all the great articles. Lynn Yester, just to be the KBF mom that everybody needs. And she's one that not a lot of people really know unless you know. unless you've kind of been like you've been on the inside of KBF and know how valuable Lynn is. And, it makes it nice, so yeah. And then, of course, Garrett Wade, always get his name backwards, who is like the bass tournament rules kind of, aficionado, because he's one of the best hammers in the country right now.
Hmm. That's cool. So where is KBF going with the? Because I didn't really talk to Chad the other day. Because if I got involved with that, we would just be staying on the same subject. But with you, you get a little bit more to the point. So noticed that there is a lot more icons up there for Catch 22,
Yeah.
or new. I know there's like new. What's the word I'm looking for? I'm having a brain fart. New ways to join. I know you got a veteran one now, right? To join
Yeah.
as a level.
So
So.
what he's trying to work towards is getting more people into the ambassador level, premium level, and even life members. That he offers still a few out here and there. But obviously, because it takes memberships, and a lot of people learn this, like Bassmaster. Those of us who have been around Bassmaster for any amount of time, we always think of the Elite Series, the Bassmaster Classic, but for decades, Bassmaster itself has been a fishing club. It sends out a magazine and all that stuff, every year, whatever. And KBF is really trying to move back that way after backing off of the trails and all that. Now that we have Bassmaster, we have Kayak Adventure Series, we have, Hobie BOS kind of sunsetting like pretty much KBF did. KBF is coming back in to be more of an online for getting your tournament fill, but it's going to get back to kind of being what KBF was to start with, which was a club, and a lot of it's online. But there's going to be, we've started to set up these regions, so eventually you'll see like regional get-togethers. You might have a regional point of contact at some point in time, so that folks that are in states next to each other can host events, as Chad used to always call them, boondoggles, just to get together, camp, fish, do the whole camaraderie thing, get back to kind of what our roots were, instead of trying to go be pro trail series, over the top, biggest events. It's just we're in a different, time and place right now. And I honestly think we reach more people by being a better, bigger club and
Hmm.
serving more people locally. So with Catch 22, you see with all kinds of sponsors jumping in things. You got the New Canoe, unlimited challenge. So anybody who just wants to go catch 100 fish, a month, go do it. Old lady angler is just out there whooping them, and so does Marty. But then you've got the Torpedo Top 10. You've got you're going to have your Catch 22, which is what we've been doing for the last few years. And just trying to put the fun back into it at all the different levels. So if you're like one of your state's hammers, then you've got the KBF monthly challenge that you can go compete in, and that is now the feeder system into KBF the 10, which is like their biggest championship, best of the best. And so with moving the KBF National Championship and the Challenge Series Championships and the Knucklehead Championships that we haven't talked a whole lot about yet this year, all of that into the fall in one big shindig, then you can have one big party for like all of the KBF community. Then the following spring, you have all winter to brag and boast and talk about getting ready for the 10, the showdown of the 10 best anglers in the KBF organization. And a lot of the times, those are names that we almost always know: the Mike
Hmm.
Elsie's, the Russes, Guillermo's, the big dogs just out there duking it out and really doing it. But, if you do really good in your state challenges and you go qualify and do really good at the KBF National Championship / Challenge Series Championship, then those top 10 finishers from them state anglers will duke it out, and in the springtime for a whole different tournament. So it should be pretty cool, but we're trying to get it back to keeping it simple, easy to manage, easy to run. Chad's actually going to work to eventually bring that in and be a complete family owned business and family run business at some point in time. But when you've still got employees and things like that you've got doing some things, it takes a while to transition and do all of that. But I guess that's the long-term goal of things, just to build a better club and kind of get back to our roots of just being a big KBF happy family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I signed up for the Catch 22 for the year, obviously to support that, and I wasn't going to do any tournaments this year, which I've said on numerous live streams, but the whole Team Kayak
I keep
Series thing
saying that
came
too.
out, so me and Tyler are going to go do that. We'll see how that goes. I will definitely probably make a kayak adventure series that I compete in. When I went just down to Florida, it was just for a few days because the Heroes on the Water first event, we had clubs coming down from Maryland and stuff, and
Oh
Kayak
wow.
Rudy was there, and what's his name? Rory was supposed to come there from USA Kayak Magazine, right? He was
Okay,
supposed to
yeah.
make it down, but they had the snow up there in Virginia, so he wasn't able to make it down. And I guess he was shoveling his sidewalk or his driveway, and he fell and hurt himself.
Ugh.
So he was supposed to come down, but we still had about 20, maybe 30 of us there. So it was a nice. So I had to come back for that. But I plan on fishing another kayak adventure series actual event as a competitor. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna see how the Lake Murray one goes, and then we'll see where we're gonna go from there. Me and Tyler, we're supposed to go to Kentucky Lake. We're gonna go to the Susquehanna one,
Oh
and
yeah.
who knows what else in between. Maybe I take off enough time to do the Susquehanna for Kayak Adventure Series, the one before the Team Kayak Series. We'll see how that all works out. I may have more time now with the whole house situation, so I may have some more time now to take off. So I may do that and
Yeah.
spend some time with there with that. But I may jump into I may do a monthly or two challenges, state challenges, just to jump in there and see if I can actually get first place again. It's been a while, but really,
Yeah, it's
the
it's tough a lot of the times. Normally, I just like jump into mayhem to qualify for
yeah,
the NC, but I'm actually may if I'm home enough this year. I really and I say this too, knowing that I have a major certification that I've got to take this year. I've got the classes for it like in June or whatever, and so then I'm going to be study, and I hoped to time to be able to do all that like in the dead of summer when fishing sucks the most so that I can get that knocked out of the way. But part of me just really wants to try to get that done sooner than later, just because I want to go fish as much as possible. But you know how life is. It's like you have best laid plans, but I plan to be at all these things, but that doesn't always mean it's going to happen.
yeah. See, keep seeing Tyler say Minnesota, so he must be pushing for that one now. We haven't talked about that, but I guess maybe he's taking some time off and he's not telling me. He's just telling me now. So I guess he
Wondered.
wants to go to that Minnesota one, but we'll see how it goes. As far as your local clubs, though, what did you be? I know you belong to a couple of them, but which ones?
There's one that I mostly fish, that I mostly focus on because it's a KBF club. It's a
Okay.
small club. We never get, maybe 20, 25 people each event. And I've been gone so much the last couple of years, I hardly ever get to fish it, but I'm actually going to be working with them more this year, doing live streams for them, really work on promoting there's some other clubs that they do. It's almost like all online. So you only kind of get together at the championship, and that's fun. That's cool. But that's really not my thing this year. Now that kind of COVID's gone. And one of the things I always liked and missed even about the Bass Club boat world, not so much the people and competitors, but like after the tournament, after the weigh in, like with my local club, the Southern Indiana Yak Angler Club, SIAC, they're an in person after the event. So when we all get off the water, they'll bust out the grill and throw on some dogs, and we'll hand out awards and the checks and all the. It's really kind of cool. Their trophies. They do an engraved tumbler of the lake name, the date, and then a silhouette of the lake. It's unique. It's something different.
Hmm.
Um, but then we have a bunch of bait companies and other gear this year that there's a battery sponsor, so they give out batteries, and so each event there's just like a whole lot of stuff. But again, it's about building that kayak fishing community and that kind of a flavor. Well, hello, dear. And that kind of a flavor, to kind of get the people together again. So that's the one I'm going to focus on the most this year, since I'm going to be in state. I might jump in the online one because they do a format where you fish Thursday through Monday. You pick whichever day you want to fish. It's kind of good for those working man, blue collar, weekend workers, the overnight shift guys. There's generally a day that they can fish between Monday and Thursday, and you just pick one day, and then that's the day you go fish.
Okay. Yeah, I did qualify for the national championship. Now that Chad moved it, maybe I will have to go to that too. I gotta see how it all works out. When is that again? That is
It's like
now.
November 5th. It's one of those again around Veterans Day kind of time frame.
Okay.
And we're
And then,
kind of figuring too, it's kind of after everybody else, you know.
okay. Yeah,
But
let's see.
Gunnersville still they're still biting.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I know you said it before, but which actual national events? Because I was probably half paying attention, or half asleep. What national trails though do you plan on fishing in person?
So I'll be at the Kayak Adventure Series in Texas.
Okay, so you're going to that one. Okay.
I'm going to that one since I'm going to be there for the Classic. The Kayak Adventure Series in Ohio, since it's nearby, and that's in June. The Kayak Adventure Series in Minnesota, the St. Cloud, and
Okay.
then the Bassmaster at Dale Hollow because that's 4 hours away.
Okay. So you're doing quite a few then. I mean, you're going to be at quite a few of those kayak adventure series, which is
I
good.
was like, you know what? The ones that are close to me, and if it's only weekends, since I'm off on Fridays anyway, I work 4 10-hour days, during the week. While I'm being told all the time that government employees don't do anything. I have a very stressful job, but I work 4 10-hour days. So I'm off on Friday. So with the Bassmaster being 4 hours away, that's when I can kind of like zip right to the one next door in Ohio, same kind of thing. So, the classic and then the Minnesota one are the two farther trips, and then, going down to Gunnersville for the weekend, down in the falls, not that big a deal either. So
Yeah.
that's another quick down and back because I don't need to go pre-fish and all that too. I'm just going to that one for the fun of being there.
hmm and back to what you were saying too before about people say you have folding money. Well, people don't realize we're older.
Yeah, yeah,
I've been at my job for 30 years.
yep,
Being in the same industry for 30 years, you work yourself up. You make, you work yourself up as far as the pay scale. So we have the money to do it, and I get that a lot because I'm always changing trucks. I'm always changing trailers. Everybody thinks I'm rich. I
yeah,
sell things. I just don't buy them and just give them away. I sell
right,
them and, buy them and sell them and get money back. Yes, sometimes I lose, but I'm not losing the whole thing. So
right, exactly, yeah.
I like, trying different things. You see how many trailers I've been through and how many
Oh,
back
100%. Yeah.
and
I mean,
forth
if
I've
there's a
been.
trailer expert out there, it's RJM Fishtails.
Yeah, and all I'm going to say is there might be another one coming up
I
in the works
bet.
yet too.
Yeah. Stay
Um,
tuned for a future episode, right?
yeah, but I'm still going to always still keep my enclosed though, just for the simple
Yeah.
fact of the whole camping experience, and it works out great. I mean, my wife says it's just weird sounding. I'm like, what's weird? Because I'll pull over on the side of the road now, and I have this thing called Even Flow. It's just basically, it's like a power source like Dakota Lithium. It's got 120-volt power, and
Okay.
I'll just pull over on the side of the road, dump some water in my coffee maker, and I'll make a fresh cup of coffee as I'm driving. I'll
Oh,
pull
yeah.
over, make it out of my trailer, and then I got a cooler with half and half, and I got some sugar. I'll just make a coffee on the go. So it's kind of nice,
Yeah.
having the enclosed trailer and having all that stuff inside there, and taking it with me.
Well, when
So
and you still having a little one and being able to go doing those camping trips, you got a
yeah,
whole lot more room to carry, all the things that you need. So that does make it nice. And if you can spoil your wife at all while you're out there, it just makes it that much better.
yeah. But I was thinking maybe just get a kayak trailer too down the line just for those longer solo trips
Yeah.
where I don't need to take all that stuff, and I'll just save some money on gas instead of hauling the more of the wind sail that's you tow behind you. Even though
You're right.
I went smaller this time, but I figure
Right.
I would. Who knows? I may just get like a single kayak trailer again. I'm all over the place. I'm always
Oh,
changing
yeah.
things up. But I had another question for you too, and I forgot what it was. It was something to do with KBF. Hmm. It'll come back to me. So, as far as the boating world, you still have your boat. Do you plan on keeping your boat? Do you plan on selling it and buying a bunch of kayaks?
Oh, the $24,000 question. I still have my low, and it's they call it, it's a low fishing machine. It's a 17-foot boat. It's one of those deep V bottoms, and every year I'm like, I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it. And then every year my granddaughters start to get a little bit older, and I'm like,
hmm
I'm probably maybe can get them out on the water this year. And so every time I say I'm gonna sell it, I don't sell it, but we'll see what the economy looks like. We'll see what the market looks like. I if I had to do it over again now that I'm really wanting to chase smallies more, I would probably do like a John boat type thing with a jet
hmm
outboard. But we might take the girls fishing and do some crappie fishing, and hell, I might take my brother and my youngest son and throw us in there and camera us all up, and that could be some comedy gold that just hasn't been. that hasn't been filmed yet. So we'll see. I mean, for now I've got it. I'll probably put it on the market. If it sells, it sells. And if it don't, well, it was a sign I was supposed to keep it. So
Yeah,
we'll
but
see what
think about
happens.
that with the cameras, though, JT. I mean, you put a bunch of you on the boat, and like you said, it could be a comedy thing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
start doing, two or three of you, start doing boating trips, and
Yep.
and edit those videos and put them on your channel. It just adds another mix to the channel, and I think
Because
people will
my
like
whole
it.
thing is supposed to be fishing with Gramps, not just kayak fishing with Gramps. Even though
Yeah.
I'm so comfortable in the kayaks, it's really hard to say no. But I've got some places around here. I got a power plant lake that I can go hit on a warm day here in the middle of winter, and the bass should be just smashing. And they don't allow kayaks on it because it gets really windy. So
Hmm.
that may be something that we see coming to the channel here before too long. Just because I want to kind of I like the tournaments and stuff. I really, really want to get back into chasing big bass. And that's something I've gone more into chasing inches than chasing, um yeah, now they're all talking about rock proof with jet ski gets all the jet motor gets all the smallies. Oh, trust me, I've seen Salzman and some of the guys out there on the Susky with those things, and it's like, and Josh Renko has a jet too, but for now, I mean, I want to get back to being fishing with Gramps and not just hamstrung on bass fishing all the time. I want to get back into chasing some small, some crappie, and we've got plenty of those around too. So but it's hard not to just want to go chase big bass, and especially with KBF coming out with the new KBF Club state records.
Hmm.
I really want to be one of the ones that's got one up there. And I didn't realize this, but I know two guys in Indiana that have 23-inch bass that they've caught here in the state. And I mean, I know there's some giants around here, but Gramps ever caught a muskie? I don't think so. I don't really think so.
Oh, they're
I
nice,
know
man.
there
I
are
caught
some
one.
muskie. There's some muskie in some of the pits over in a county that's about 90 minutes away from me. Um, but I really don't know how to fish for them. I've seen people throw like those big whopper plopper kind of things, but it would probably be something that I tried to do if I was with somebody that knew what they were doing and could teach me.
Yeah, no, I've caught muskie. Growing up on the Susquehanna, and all my uncles had jet boats.
Okay.
Being on the Susquehanna, you kind of have to. And
Yeah.
they all got aluminum boats, and they would just fly and bang off rocks, but they just kept on going. It was like not a big deal for them. But
I just like, does it not tear holes in the bottom, or are they just built to go do that?
I guess if you get the right boat, I mean, or you
Yeah.
got an inexpensive John boat, because really a John boat just bare with just three aluminum seats going across it. That's pretty much most of my uncles had.
Okay.
If you did put a hole in it, I mean, what do you got to spend? 3,000 to replace it? Like a little 17
Oh
foot
yeah.
John boat. It's not that much. I mean, I was just at Sportsman Warehouse today over here grabbing some more lures, some top secret lures for Lake Murray that I'm not telling anybody about.
Until
Uh,
afterwards.
yeah, but I'm bringing back some old school stuff that nobody's even thought about throwing in such a long time. You know what? I want to try it for a few hours to see if I get any bites. But if I do catch any on it, I'll let you guys know. But after the tournament, but there's a John boat standing up there, a 17-foot John boat standing up against the wall,
Yeah.
$1,800.
Yeah.
Had built-in cup holders and everything. So I guess if you do bang a hole in it, it's like
Yeah.
almost
Who cares?
replacing a
Yeah.
hole, your hole in your kayak, or whatever. So. Uh, but yeah, I mean, muskie fishing is fun. I mean, if I lived back up in PA all the time, I'd be doing it as almost as probably at least every couple of weeks because
Yeah. Just
it's
because.
fun. I mean, they get huge on that Susquehanna too.
Oh, I bet.
So speaking of Susquehanna and fishing for muskie, do you have a bucket list place that you want to go fishing? It could be country or it could be overseas. It could be here in the USA. But do you have a bucket list place that you still want to get to? and you,
Um,
and you have to get to because we only have so much time here, so you can't put it off. But do you have a bucket list place to go?
well, okay, so kind of going through the list. I mean, El Salto in Mexico has always been like forever because I mean, you even heard like, 20 years ago of guys going down there just catching giants, right? So that's always been on like the number one. But in recent years, the bucket list, and I'm actually starting to cross them out, which is kind of why I got back into the tournament thing because my wife, after being with me for so long fishing boat tournaments younger in our marriage, kind of knew how I was that way. But instead of me trying to go win the tournaments, I'm more going to these tournaments as an excuse to cross off a bucket list. So for
Mhm.
me, the Susquehanna. Now I went the one time. And everything I wanted to do, I was just completely in the wrong place, wrong time, doing the wrong all the things. You still got to learn. But I went and I caught fish in an actual official Bassmaster event. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, my ass was on score tracker on a Bassmaster. So that was kind of cool. But the Susquehanna is one of them. And my good buddy Michael Ridenauer is like, next time we go to Susquehanna, you're going to come with me and we're going to go catch some fish. So, I'll learn. But I actually met some new people and went out and fished with some of the Freedom Squad fishing fam and had a good time. And but I learned. And you would have thought I'd won the dang Super Bowl, the first fish I caught there, but I went, and it was a good time. So looking forward to doing that one again. On more recent, Gunnersville was always one. Of course, we've done that now. For me, local around here, we would go down to Kentucky Lake all the time in the Bass Club days. So that was but like this year, OHIV. Definitely. I mean, how can that not be on anybody's radar after the last few years? So, being able to go down, taking extra leave to go to Texas to be able to go down and spend a couple of days on that just to see what could happen. I've been to Fork before, so looking forward to going and getting back on there again a little bit. Another one, honestly, going back to Susquehanna again will be on the list, but I'm actually looking forward to going to Dale Hollow because for a lake that's only 4 hours from me, I'm really kind of surprised I've never been there. But I guess I never really thought about it because I never really thought or cared that much about smallmouth until the last couple of years when I've just lost my mind, trying to chase them. So, going to Dale Hollow this year and being able to fish with Michael Ridenauer again, who's kind of like taking me under his wing as far as like these places go, because I can catch my fish around here. But as you know, traveling around and being able to do it on the move, that, you can show up with some skills, but you've got to kind of have a lot of, enough time to kind of pre-fish and figure some things out, or at least find some areas where their fish are. If you can find them, I know how to catch them. It's just sometimes finding them. So looking forward to that one.
How come I'm
In
not hearing
addition,
anything about salt? I've asked this question to a lot of people that came out here. I barely ever hear saltwater. I mean, you never want to go for a tarpon or snook or
no, it
redfish.
just it just never. I've always been like a creek, river, small strip pit kind of guy. I
That's
see
funny.
other people.
Tyler says, "How about saltwater?" It's funny that I didn't even
Yeah,
see that. I
yeah.
just thought about it. But yeah, I don't see too many people. I mean,
It's like I've heard people say if you go fish for reds, you'll never want to fish for bass again. So, I mean, I guess it's one of those things since I've never done it. I ain't gonna lie, bro. The one, and that's why I get so many people. How come you don't spend more time crappie fishing? How much time you don't spend more time, bluegill and blah blah blah, or even smallies? I still want to catch a 10-pound bass before I
yeah.
die. And it's just like for decades, that has been the only thing I catch. Now, I know in Indiana, there's no 10-pound bass. So for me, my goal here would be like a 7 or an 8-pounder, that next big thing. But as I've started to venture back out, going to Gunnersville, going to these places, like with this in Texas, I'm going to be on 3 different lakes that who knows? I mean,
You
you're
better
saying
catch it
there's a
there,
chance.
or you could go with Tyler and you can catch 11-pounder with him. That guy
Yeah.
just caught an 11-pounder. That thing was beautiful.
I mean, and then one of the things we're planning on doing next year. So, like, I kind of knew what my schedule was going to be like this year, just out of commitments working with Drew and kind of promote the trail, and Chad with KBFNC, and then of course there's a close by Bassmaster. How could I not? But next year, Florida is on the list. Like,
Okay.
like this time of the year, I'm just gonna whoever wants to go, we're all gonna go down to Liz's place in Tampa, and the places where she's catching every one of her catch 22 fish now are over 20 inches.
Hmm.
You know, most of her fish are PBs in my book. You know what I mean?
And she used to catch a lot of them from the bank. So
Oh
shoot,
yeah, and
we
now
just
that
have to go
she's
down
got a
there with a fishing
kayak,
rod.
she's
Yeah.
yeah, she's unlimited now that she's got a kayak. So I mean, that new canoe, she is putting it to work, and between her and Dalton Albright down there, I mean, they're just smashing giants.
Yeah.
And it's like, how could you not love that? So if I don't do anything at all in 2026, the one thing I'm going to do is go to Florida and see Liz and go fish with her.
Yeah, you just have to get Dalton, Liz together,
Oh,
you, me. We'll get Tyler, we'll get all of us together, and we're just gonna go to one lake, and we're just all
yeah.
gonna catch double-digit fish all day. What a video that would be!
Oh my goodness, that would just be incredible. I mean, just because. I mean, it's funny in my whole life, and this is so dumb. I was stationed in Atlanta for 3 years while I was in the Army. Never went to Florida. I didn't go fish one time the whole time I was stationed there. It just I had left home and I was a kid, young adult, and it just wasn't on my mind. When I moved to Texas for my final duty station, my brother moved down there. It's like, bro, we got to go fish. And he drugged me all back in. It's like all my childhood came back. And then because of my brother, got me back into bass fishing then, and then we started fishing tournaments together, and it's been nutty, crazy 30 years since.
And when you're down there, and when you and your brother are down there in Texas, you didn't catch anything big when you were down there fishing?
My biggest fish, it's funny because this was before he got his boat and before I got out of the Army and moved back to Indiana. The biggest one I caught, and my personal best is like 8 pounds. It was like 876. It's either 867 or 876. Caught it on the bank of Lake Fork on a bridge, just walking down a bridge, throwing a Terminator spinnerbait in 1997.
Terminator.
And I have not, yeah, you talk about old.
Yeah.
But and it's funny, you were talking about throwing some like old school baits. Jeremy and I were like, we need to have like a retro challenge. We go back and find those like whatever it was way back when that was like our thing. For me, it sucks because for him, he still throws damn Berkeley Power Worm.
Hmm.
But we were talking about like go find those baits that we used to throw all the time. For me, it was always a jig and a spinner bait, and a 10-inch. For me, it was a 10-inch red shad Texas rigged worm. But yeah, I mean, and that was my biggest fish down there was, just over 8 pounds. And I think I think his PB when he was working on fork was like 11 something, but he's caught a few double digits, I think. But yeah, I would just love to be able to. I'd love to go down this year and break a 9 pounder just to set a new weight. I mean, I went and bought a new Bubba scale just so nobody's like, oh, Gramps is waiting with that Guggen scale to give him a few extra. No, I'm going with legit scale this time because I want to try to get. I want to try to get a big one.
Yeah, because I never weighed a fish a day in my life. I need to get a scale because it's always been, when I got into actually like paying attention to the fish. I mean, when I was a kid, I just caught them,
Yeah.
looked at it, and that was before phones and pictures and everything. So this,
Oh yeah.
this thing is great, and you put it back in the water. And then when I actually started getting into any kind of scale, it was a measuring board. So I never
Yeah.
actually worried about weighing them. But all I'm seeing now is people weighing these fish, and a lot of us in kayakers, because it's pretty much who I follow on Instagram. It's pretty much just kayakers. I don't even really follow boat people, and I'm seeing more and more people weigh the fish now.
Yeah.
I was on the river, with John and Jake and them, and Cole and another Jake. He's Jake the fishing guy. He's
Yeah.
retired military. And he's getting into Instagram, but I mean, like, those guys are all down there with scales, but we're out
Yeah.
there, and John, from Creek Fishing, he caught the 2.35 pound Sawani bass, but
Yeah. I saw that. That thing is
it was
gorgeous.
big. I mean, they dragged me out there. You gotta go. I'm going down there. I got literally 3 hours on. Yeah, 3 hours on Friday. No, sorry, 3 hours on Thursday, and I got 4 hours on the water on Friday. Then I had to leave. Yeah, to come back up, I was kind of confused on the days there. So I only got 7 hours really on the water in Florida. But I mean, these guys dragged me to the river to go after the smallest bass. I was down there to catch the biggest bass. So I got to go back. Maybe
With
me and
John
Tyler
doing the
go.
micro bag.
Yeah, I have to go for an actual like really because I found them the day I was on the water, but it was windy and I was having a hard time bringing them to the boat. But I found out within probably 45 minutes I started catching fish. And you'll see the video. It's kind of depressing how many I lost. But, I found the fish right away within 45 minutes on a lake I've never been to. And I got one little tip from Tyler what to look for in Florida. And I did that. I found what he told me to look for, and I just started catching. And I was fishing slow because it was, it got cold down there again, and shut them down. But I mean, I found out how to catch them,
Oh,
and
you guys did have a cold front come through, didn't you?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was funny because those guys are, but they made me think of the scale, and he called that 2 pound. But yeah, I was struggling on the river. I like rigged all my stuff to go out into a lake because I was actually going to go out into a lake on Thursday, probably by myself, and then Friday maybe follow some people around later in the day. Then everything got totally changed up, so I was all rigged up to be on the lake chasing big fish, and I had to go to a river chasing small fish, even though I saw some big largemouth. But I was trying to catch that Swanee bass because that's what they're all after. So I figured I'd have to, you know, uh, go after since I'd never caught one before. But unfortunately, I didn't catch one. But
Oh man.
I caught something else.
But
But
you got some pretty good sized fish where you're at too, don't you?
oh yeah, I mean it's been tough this winter in South Carolina. We've had snow for the first time in 7 years. I've only been down here for going on my fifth year now. It's been tough, and I just haven't had a chance to get on the water as much this year. But it's okay because the fishing's been tough. It's been really cold. We just had 20s come through. I guess last week when we were in Florida, so that cold front hit there, then hit
Yeah.
here. But we're in the 20s again. I mean, the fish just don't know to spawn, not to spawn. They go deep, they come up shallow. So I'm hoping with the warm weather this week, even though it's supposed to cool down a tad this week and be a little bit windy on Saturday, but Sunday's supposed
Yeah.
to be okay.
We had our
I'm
hottest day of the year today at 60 degrees. So hopefully that'll start melting stuff off.
Yeah, we were 74 here where I live
Well,
today. So yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be warm all week, so it should be good. This weekend, it's just we're gonna have to deal with wind on Murray on
Yeah.
Saturday, which if you've ever been to Murray before, when it gets windy, it can be pretty fun. I
You
mean,
gotta be
there's some
gotta be careful, huh? Yeah.
pretty big white caps. So I got a couple areas where I'm going to be fishing. Me and Tyler, we have some protected areas, so I think that's where you're going to see a lot of people at, except for the people who fish offshore a lot and live scopers, which we do have quite a few in that tournament. So
Yeah.
uh, that's okay. They can go out there and do that. But yeah, uh,
Yeah, I mean that's something I'm trying to add into my game this year just to see what the hype is about. I'm still more of a bank beater, always will be.
mhm.
I think for me, if I can go learn to kind of catch them that way, like in the heat of the summer when it's a little harder than normal, then maybe that'll help add something to the game. But it ain't something. It's for me, it's nice to be able to really look and define the brush piles and stuff. I know I like to fish that I found with down imaging, but doing like Wheeler, Dustin Connell, trying to kind of chasing the schools around and chasing them in open water. That's just a whole different skill level that I don't have yet. But I just like using it to find the stuff underwater or see what it was that I found when I went over it with the side. Just makes that part a little bit easier. I think I've maybe out of 50 fish, I've maybe caught like three that I actually saw, like, oh, there's a fish. Oh, let me do the jerk and whatever, and it's like, okay, caught him with a jerk bait, but it's not all that often. It's just not a skill set that I really care about that much, but I kind of have it just to be able to talk about a little too.
Yeah. But back to where we were, I kind of got distracted like I always do. I never stay on subject. But yeah,
That's all good.
we do have big bass here too as well. If I had to guess, I would probably say I've definitely caught an 8 pounders before
Okay.
easily. Because I'm pretty good at guessing the weight, with the measurements and stuff. But I
What's
think
your
my
PB on the catch?
lengthwise, I would say I'm pretty sure it's 22 and 3/4, which is not that big. And I know I've lost bigger ones. I know I lost a bigger one just this past week in Florida, but yeah, I mean, I think it's 22 and 3/4, but that's when I was measuring them.
Yeah.
Before that, I've caught some big fish when I was in New Jersey.
Oh,
And
okay.
believe it or not, there's actually big bass in New Jersey too as well. But
I see people that live up there smashing them.
yeah,
Jesse Hazen, and there's a few people up there that I know that from the knucklehead stuff that they're smoking some giants up there.
yeah, and they're fishing. Probably a lot of them are fishing on the Manasquan Reservoir, and that's where I
Okay.
used to fish too a lot when I moved to the Manalapan area, and it produces a lot of big fish. And I know when I was judging for KBF, I've had people text me and say that he's cheating. That's impossible. He's catching fish that much, that big all the time. I was like, dude,
They're up
his
there.
stuff is legit. I got
Yeah.
all the information on it. He's not cheating. It's not duplicates. This guy is catching the fish, but it's on the Manasquan River Reservoir. But yeah, I've caught some big ones, and I guarantee I probably caught longer than that. But I'm hoping this year in general, I think with some of the traveling, and I'm hoping to get back down to Florida for some freshwater because that just being on the water for 7 hours is the first time I've ever fished in Florida on freshwater my whole life. Every time I go to
Okay.
Florida, it's the Keys or for saltwater.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that was my first freshwater trip to Florida. I need to go back there. I want to go back there this year, and I do want to hit that 25-inch mark on the catch board.
Oh, that'd be insane, wouldn't it?
Whatever that comes out to be weight wise, I mean, they all can be different. You could have a 25 incher weigh 8 pounds, you could have one weigh 12 pounds, but
Yep,
I definitely want
exactly.
to get, a 25 incher. I guess I will use a scale and buy one, I guess, eventually. And, also weigh it too, because, people still judge your fish on the weight. Because, when I hit back at the banks,
Yeah.
when I'm fishing a kayak, people says, "Oh, what did you catch today?" I caught something like 22 inches or whatever. And they're like, "Well, how much does it weigh?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't have a
Yeah.
scale on me. I was never a person to weigh them. So,
6, 7 pounds somewhere in there.
yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's a lot of big fish here in South Carolina, and there's the possibility for sure to catch 25 inches here in South Carolina as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
But your average larger fish here are probably that 22 to 23.
Yeah.
You occasionally may get that 24 to 25, but it's rare. It's mostly that 22. It's usually that 20 to 23 is your
Yeah.
common here in South
For in
Carolina.
Indiana, if you catch like a 20, it's like, oh, you're one of the big dogs. Now there'll be guys that catch the occasional 21 or the rare 22, but 20s is like I call it a trophy fish. That's just the nature of what's here. I mean, they're here. You can catch them. It's just not often. I may catch a few a year, but it takes some work. And then the guys who live on some of the places where they're more known, because that's really where they're generally hitting most of the time. They always kick my butt in the month longs or the catch 22, because you got to fish where the big ones are. That's just part of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I definitely now that things have kind of changed personally with me going on right now, and in the background, I'm gonna have a little
Yeah,
bit more time. I think now to I got to take care of a few things this month, but I'm gonna start hitting fishing really hard, and I'm gonna hit it hard the rest of the year. So I'm gonna try
there
to
you
do a lot
go.
of content for the fishing. But is Wendell on tonight, Darren? I didn't know if he
Yeah, he
posted.
should be. I think at 8 or 8:30. I'm not sure
I
which.
think he's an 8:30 show. I just wanted to double check
That's
because I
right.
want to.
Yeah.
I always try to get off before he's on so people can go watch him. But
Yep. 100%.
yeah, I have one other question for you, but is there anything else you want to talk about, talk to anybody about, or mention anything before we get off here?
I saw that Jeremy Curtis asked if we were going to be at the Bassmaster Classic. I will be there. I'll be wearing my Fishing with Gramps green and black hat. Come up and get some stickers, take a pic, and say hello. And yeah, I always carry Freedom Squad and KBF and Fishing with Gramps and my Everything Kayak Fishing podcast stickers. So I carry a pretty good little sticker pack with me wherever I go. So come hit me up and say hi.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I won't be there. When is that again?
The kayak version is the 19th and the 20th, I think, and then the boater version is the 3 days after that. And then the kayak
Okay.
adventure series is on the 23rd. So
Okay.
you'll probably see me around when the kayak fishing stuff is over. When the boat derb guys are gone, that's when I'll kind of go to the expo if I don't sneak back over to Fork. But I'm going to go to the expo at least one day. But if you follow me on Instagram, or Facebook, I don't do the whole Fishing with Gramps on Facebook thing, but you can find me at JT HICKMAN on Facebook, and then I'm very active on socials when I'm on the road. That's for sure. And I
Yeah,
think on Instagram it's like fishing.with.gramps.
it is. I thought it was just fishing with Gramps.
It could be. I don't remember. I changed
Uh,
it. I've changed it in the past, and now I don't remember what it was.
there's a question somebody's asking me. Any more issues with the baits reel? Yes. And I hate talking bad about people, but this is a small thing. I just actually reached out to him, and I think I told Tyler. I got one of my hundos sitting right here, and it's something I can fix, but for the price point, and that looks like it's plastic. I don't know if that's cracked. I actually haven't investigated it yet because of the price of these things. I was just going to send it back to them, but yes, I don't know if you could see that, guys. See that little black thing there? The little insert for the chute came out, and I was just real. This has happened down in Florida, and this is not the one I just sent back. The last one I sent back was my stupidity, which I think I did mention on one of the lives, and I was talking about people. I never put backer. I don't put any tape on any of my reels. I haven't done it in the longest time, but I guess because I was fishing in cold weather, the aluminum shrunk enough that I was making my whole spool of braid spin, and I thought my drag was
Oh,
broken, and it wasn't. I sent it out to them. They took care of it. They serviced it while I was there, and it was just that I didn't have any electrical tape on the back, and I haven't done it in such a long time. I haven't had any issues, and all of a sudden I had one with one of theirs. So that wasn't a problem. I've had definitely bearings on one reel So I've had one issue that was my stupidity and my fault. It won't happen again. I've had one issue where I think I did have a bearing break on me, so I had one legit issue, and now I have this issue here with that little piece coming out. And I know I could super glue it, but for the price of these things, I said to them, I was like, of course, it's right before a tournament, so I actually just ordered a Cast King Mega Jaws Elite as a backup since this is not going to be in service. And I asked the guys there at Bates if there's a quick fix for this. I mean, I could look at it right now, I could super glue it, but I don't want them to fix it. So that's the only other issue I've had with Bates. It's still minute, but for that price, I'm going to send it back to them. I'm not going to try to fix it, even though they say they might be able to have a fix for it. But the guy's supposed to reach out to me tomorrow and
Yeah.
let me know. But I'm going to have him fix that. But it's simple. I'm looking at that. That is plastic on plastic, if I'm not mistaken there. But overall, I'm still super happy with these reels. It's so lightweight in my hand. But like I said, I just ordered the Mega Jaws Elite. I haven't had one of those yet. I'm going to try one. I got the Royal Legend Pro and I got the Royal Legend 2. A little bit less expensive, and that Royal Legend Pro baitcaster that has an 8-to-1 ratio. And I think when they first came out, it was at the $80 mark. I got it with my discount for like 65 when it was on sale. And now I think I see it on the website like 91. But for that $80 price point, I'm actually really surprised at that reel. And I know the Mega Jaws Elite will be good. I know they're magnetic, like self-adjusting magnetic backlash prevention thing. It looks like it's going to work very well.
Yeah.
I know Gene's been talking good about them, but like I was talking to Tyler the other day, um, as the time goes on here, I'm going to keep these baits reels alive. I'll keep sending anything back if I have any issues with warranty because I'll take care of it. Will I buy any more in the future? I do want to get some salty hundos, but I don't know. I'm telling you, if I get that Mega Jaws Elite and I really like it, I may not spend the $400 on reels anymore. I
Yeah.
know maybe later on again. I don't know, but I know they'll just keep fixing my hundos. I got 3 hundos and I got two goats, so I got 5 of the reels, and I'm just having little issues with the hundos. And I know that they're still kind of new. They haven't been out a super long time. Uh, and like I said in other videos, your Cast King reels could break too as well, but you kind of expect them to break a little bit because they're on the cheaper price point. But
Yeah.
no matter what you get, something's going to break. And I
Unless you're
thought
throwing
this,
Shimano.
yeah, hey, I've had all the DCs. I've broken those too. But
See,
see,
I can't fish. I can't fish the DC. That they're so big in the hand. But the SLX DC XT is absolutely fantastic.
but I gotta remember, I use this in saltwater too. So I
No,
got,
yeah, okay, yeah. So
I got redfish ripping these things all the time. I don't know how the Shimano would hold up to that. I think
right,
every
yeah, you'd
reel
have to
when you
move up
push it
to
with
like a
reds.
Bantam or something heavier duty, or the Tranks, I guess, is what those big heavy duty kind of things are.
Have you had one of these in your hands though before?
No, the baits. I actually played with them at Red Crest, but I haven't fished with them at all.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like way too small when I got out of the box. This is the most comfortable reel I've ever had in my
Yeah,
hand, and I had bigger hands, and I've never was a big fan of the smaller reels, but the drag on this thing is great. I forgot what
I
it is.
keep saying
It's
I want to talk to them again and have them on a live. I actually talked to him about that when I met him at Red Crest, and then of course, everything happens. You know, time flies so fast. It's like no matter what you're doing, you just never have enough time. It's
mhm.
like I've been like trying to get caught up editing videos, this and that, and getting everything I need in to get this XTR rigged. And then I'm sitting here thinking, I've got to leave in 3 weeks. I've got to get this thing completely rigged and at least on the water once or twice here just to make sure it's bulletproof before I get on the road and go to Texas. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, that's not that far away.
No, you better get your ass moving there, kid.
I know.
So, my last question for you. I don't know if you saw you've been watching any of the lives or not. I think I saw you on with Chad last week. But if you could fish with one person, past or present, who would it be?
Ooh. Honestly, I'd go fish with my grandpa one more time.
Hmm. And that's how
Yeah.
most people is. I mean, nobody's ever asked me that question before, but I might as well tell everybody out here because I never actually answered that probably on a live myself. It would be my brother. I lost my brother when I was 10 years old,
Yeah.
and never had the chance to fish with him.
Yeah.
Because he was actually he was in the military when I was 10. So I never really had that chance because we kind of separated as because my parents got divorced, so some of us got kind of separated, and
Yeah.
didn't have a chance to fish with him. But I definitely who I would fish with, and I'll be honest with you, I'd want to fish with him, but I knew my brother enough that I don't know if he would really actually be into it, but I'll get his ass out there anyway. But I definitely want to fish
Yeah.
with my brother for sure. Let's have that experience. But I mean, really, when it comes down to it, it's always family for me. I lost most of my uncles. All my uncles died really young. I
Yeah.
had an uncle die at 28 of a heart attack in his sleep. I had another guy, another uncle, uh, that was like 31, I think, or so like that. He died. He was a garbage man, fell off the back of the truck and got hurt at work, killed at work. So I mean, I lost a lot of my uncles at a young age. So I never had a chance to fish with my uncles or my brother, which kind of sucked. But yeah, that's who I would fish with.
Yeah.
But yeah, family's important. So like I tell
Yep.
people that you just don't know any of us. Myself, I could go sleep tonight and not wake
Yep.
up tomorrow. So if you guys got to take that time and make that trip to see your family. If that's somebody you want to fish with or do a trip with, your grandfather, your father, whoever, you got to make that time because you think that you have the time, but you don't, and you're gonna regret it later on. So if you have a chance to go fish with somebody, definitely do that for sure.
100%.
But I appreciate you coming on tonight, Gramps. I see your lighted sign behind you. I'm going to get one of those. So now that my house situation's changed again, I'm basically filming in my garage with my background here, which is kind of light because
Yeah.
I got a lot of things still packed. But I'm going to be start working on my new live stream
Yeah.
room
One of these
here.
LED lights with your logo would be bomb. That would look good.
Yeah, maybe I'll do like. I wonder if I could do white, do like a black background and just a
Yeah.
white circle with the hooks. I think white on black would look nice. But yeah, my
Yeah.
wife's already going to start designing that, and it won't be that soon yet. I still got to do some things yet, but hopefully within this year. But before the end of the year, I'd like to get that room done and get into maybe a little bit more of a probably soft. I like this bright light, but I kind of like the softer white, the light
Yeah.
too. Get something like that on there and try to make a really cool live stream room. Even have a live stream room where I can possibly get people come here actually at my house as a guest.
Do like podcasts and
Yeah, and
yeah.
kind of sit down and just have that chair. My wife said that'd be
Yep.
really cool. You set up two chairs and get a camera. I'll have to figure out how I'm going to do that. Obviously, it's going to cost money because I have to buy all this equipment. But I like to do that too. Maybe every now and then to have people in the area. Like Chad said he's going to be in the area soon. Obviously, won't have
Yep.
it set up then. But even having like Chad and
Yeah,
having
you
both of
get
us on
big
the
enough,
camera.
just build you a studio and write it off to the business.
Yeah, there you go.
You got
But
to.
yeah, I mean tonight's show was just having JT on. He asked me, the other day, what's the subject, and I says there is no subject. It's just
Yeah.
two guys
Talk fishing.
talking fishing, introducing JT if you haven't met him yet or know of him, whoever's watching from my channel, and just talking fishing. I kind of like doing that, not having an agenda. I have some of my own questions I always want to ask people and just have a topic to talk about. But I enjoyed these live streams with really no agendas, and really none of mine do because I'm not into that drama. People do all these live streams for drama and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
And
know.
hey, whatever they want to do that, they want to do that. I like having people on. I'm gonna have some people coming on here soon with some products coming up, so it's gonna introduce you to that, and that's why I started this live stream, just like everybody else, to help the community, have people come on, get some of their knowledge, or share your product. And if anybody wants to come on the channel, you can reach out to me at rjmfishtails@icloud.com if you have a product. I mentioned this a few times my first few live streams, but if anybody wants to come on the channel, you're more than happy to. Just reach out to me at rjmfishtails@icloud.com, and you're more than welcome to come on if you have something good to talk about or a product that you're working on and that maybe you want to start getting out there and everything else. So I appreciate all you guys stopping by. I appreciate all the guys from Gramps channel coming on here with all your comments floating through there, and I appreciate anybody who's going to be watching this later on, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. And I appreciate all you guys stopping by, and I appreciate you stopping by, JT.
No, my pleasure, brother.
All right, guys, have a good night. We'll see you guys soon. Next week is actually Darren. Yeah, Darren's next week.
There you
Darren
go.
Wendell will be on Tuesday. I think he wants to do like a little mashup type of thing too. So
Perfect.
I have a few questions for him. I actually got to come up with some more questions for him, but it's gonna be the same concept, just us sitting down talking. He's been a busy little beaver. I mean, I know he's trying to work on some things coming up and trying to go full time
Yep.
overall here. So that's good for I'm happy for him.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%. Great
I don't
guy.
think I could ever do it. I spend way too much money. Now, as I
Yeah.
become big,
Bro, same.
famous kayak fisherman doing YouTube, this is just going to be I do this for enjoyment. I do it for help. I do it to help you guys, and I do it for enjoyment. I like editing videos. I like putting videos out there, and I like doing these live streams. I think it's kind of a cool little blend to everything. So, all right, I'll stop rambling on here, guys. Thanks for stopping by, everybody, and we'll see you guys here soon. Have a good night.
Good night, all.